Welcome back to a beautiful spring day here in the northwest of Ireland. Hopefully it stops raining long enough to quickly get this video out. I've just been wrestling the goats. Hopefully they're going to leave me alone. I've just wrestled with them for every bale of hay and straw off the back of that trailer. Anyway, last week I was back in England for a few days visiting family, and they kept asking to see inside the house. And I know none of you have seen inside the house yet, so this is a good opportunity for me to show you inside the house. There's a lot of work to do, to say the least, but I will show you anyway, because I'm going to show you as I start doing the work in there. Haven't really done anything in there yet, other than the roof, as you can see, the chimneys, the chimney caps and crowns, and a couple of other little things, tidying up mainly. But before I get into that, before I take you inside, let me just give you a little bit of waffle about the property itself. So here in Ireland, on the deeds, it doesn't always state the age of the property, so you've got to do a little bit of research. But back between 1830 and 1860, I believe it was, they did a sort of doomsday book, a property valuation of the whole country, so that, you guessed it, so that they could tax everybody. And it's called the Griffiths valuation. I can't say that word, I apologise. I used to have a boat designed by Maurice Griffiths, and I couldn't say it then either. It's here, the Griffiths valuation. And there's a map on that, and you can go on and you can see that your property, the value of it at the time, and if I'm correct, this was worth 10 shillings. And you can also find the name of people that lived there. So yes, there is that. And then I found another map which went back to 1827, and this property was on there. Funny enough, on the map from 1857, the well which I showed in a previous video was on here, but in the 1827 one it wasn't. Now, was it built between, was the well dug between that time, or did they just not show on the earlier one? I don't know. But anyway, that's enough of that. No, I've got a little bit more. Sorry. These traditional Irish cottages were usually 3 rooms. They call them a traditional 3-room cottage. Ours is a slight exception. It had a workshop on the end, and it's not an extension, and the house isn't an extension onto that. They were all built together, and I know that from the stonework inside. I'll show you that the workshop needs a little bit more work than the rest of the property, but I will show you. So this is the workshop, and I apologise if I'm rushing this. I just know the heavens are gonna open up again any second. I haven't tidied, I haven't cleaned. It's real, isn't it? It's a real video. This is how it is. I know from speaking to locals that the old guy that lived there in the 50s, 60s, 70s used it as a workshop, and this huge fireplace he used as a forge. I can't imagine the heat in here with this low roof, a low thatched roof, because both the workshop and the cottage were thatched with rushes. And one local neighbour actually pulled the thatch off, he reckons in the early 60s. He used a tractor to pull the thatch off. These stoves I'm going to use to put in the house. I'm going to recondition those. That'll be a video one day. You can see I've just got piles of wood and junk in it. I do like this window at the back. I'm guessing that's original. A man put those screws there one day, didn't he, so that he would get round to using them one day. One day I'll get round to using those, he said. Hopefully I will. Yeah, this is going to be the last thing that's done. What we do with it is anyone's guess. I'll quickly go around the outside of the house. I just know that it's gonna start raining heavy again soon, or the goats will be back harassing me. So the windows are all double glazed, and I'm going to rub those down and see if I can get away without replacing them. None of them have blown, so there's no condensation in between the panes. Hoping I can rub them down and repaint them and save some money. There's the front door. Haven't done anything with the door other than put a lock in. Up until a few weeks ago, we were completely off grid. We still don't have mains water or sewerage, but we do have electric. We weren't going to get electric, to be honest with you. We were going to get solar panels, but once we got the house rewired, the electric company ESB said it would be €70 for us to connect, and that's a no-brainer. Until we can save for solar panels, that €70, we'll save that in no time by having a freezer. But 18 months with no mains electric, I'm still a little bit impressed, shall we say, fascinated by it. Woo, look at that. You go and show yourself round. I'm just gonna check that the lights work still. Right, back to being serious now. As we go around, you'll see various things and you'll think, why on earth have they done that? Door frames taken out, ceilings taken out, things like that. I haven't done them. The previous owner did that, and then left the place empty for 12 years. And personally, I'm quite happy he did, because it meant we got a cheaper property. Personally, if I was going to renovate a house, I would do it room by room. With this one, now that it's all ripped out, might have to do things slightly different. I have zero plan of how we're going to do things at the moment. I've got ideas, but I'm not a tradesman, so I'm going to wing it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wing it as we go along. I'm going to bluff my case all the way. Right, let's go and have a look. Now, as you can imagine, over the last 200 years, there's been renovations throughout. So let me show you an example. That is the original fireplace. Again, I didn't rip this out. And then at some point they've upgraded from what would have been the old crook fireplace, kind of like a crane that hangs your pans onto the stove, onto the fire, to this range cooker. I wish I could keep using this Stanley range, but I think restoring that is beyond my capabilities, so that might have to go. And then one of the ones you saw out in the workshop brought into here. So one side of the fireplace down there has gone, is still there. This side has completely gone. So I've got to rebuild that. If I want to keep this as a fireplace, I'll either have to board it back up as it was, block it back up when they had the range in, or pull all that out and rebuild it. Haven't figured that one out, how we can do that yet. So going into the other room, it's a funny layout, these 3-room cottages. This room we're just using for junk, storing our belongings. As you can imagine, we've got quite a lot because we're in the caravan, there's not much room. We've got a dehydrator in here, and that has been a main factor in us getting the electric, because all our belongings, and especially my books, were getting damp. There's another fireplace in here that will be changed, and a proper log burning stove go in there. We do plan on keeping that stone wall intact. The ceilings need doing. As I said, the windows are all pretty good now, cleaned up. That should be okay. There's no rot in the wood at all. The stairs come in at a funny angle, but that's because of the pitch. Then downstairs, then there's another room. I've not put a light bulb in here yet. Again, a stove. There's a stove in each of the 3 rooms. That is an open fire behind there, but I've just shoved this insert stove, because that's what I'm going to put in there eventually. That's the plan anyway. If I can, it needs some work, but that will fit into where the open fire used to be. I apologise, the goats are messing about at the windows. I'm trying not to look at them. If while I'm walking around you can hear little tapping noises, or while I'm talking, don't worry, the house isn't haunted, it's the goats. I've been round with the sage and the holy water and all that good jazz. The goats are at the windows trying to get my attention. They think they're hilarious. If I acknowledge them, it'll make them worse and it'll just ruin the video. So if you hear it, I apologise, that's what it is. So at some point over the last 200 years, probably around the year 2000, I guess, from a newspaper cutting that I found behind a piece of plaster, they built a small extension on the back with a bathroom and a kitchen. The kitchen, back in the day, 200 years ago, they would have used the main stove for all their cooking. For a toilet, well, people didn't have a poo back then. None of these properties had toilets. The only conclusion is they didn't have a poo. Let's go through there. There's another little landing porchway here. Back door is rougher than the front. It's got a cat flap in it with the flap missing. It's got a cat hole. This is the kitchen. Will be the kitchen. As you can see, all the electrics have been done. These will be stud walls that I need to do, plasterboard the inside. It's going to be very echoey this, I apologise. Bathroom. I should probably have cleaned the bath out after I last used it. Who remembers these? I haven't seen one of these for years. These are actually illegal in the UK now because water can back up into the main water supply. So, new bathroom suite to go in here. I cleaned it out. I haven't got the heart to throw this duck away. It's the best duck that we've got. And obviously, as a 42-year-old man, it's been a long time since I was near weighing scales, so they've been left there. Tiles on the floor, probably change those. And then another feature that is not original is this upstairs section, which makes this building what's called a story and a half. And I've told a few stories and a half. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. I panicked then when I saw that. It's okay, I left the window open when I came in earlier. Used to be a dormer window here, and I put one of these Velux ones in when we did the roof. There's a few floorboards need replacing because that dormer window that I mentioned was leaking for years and years. There's a few floorboards need doing. Insulation is going to be one of the earlier jobs that we do. Hopefully get that done this summer. You can see the walls all need doing. The plasterboard needs doing. You can see inside most of the roof joists got done. The radiators used to run off a back boiler. You can see into the workshop there. then a greenhouse. I spend a lot of time in that greenhouse. I sit in there when it's raining, wishing we'd moved to Portugal. I apologise for the dark up here because I haven't put any light bulbs up here yet. Don't really come up here very often. So there you go, a really quick run around the cottage. You can see the amount of work that I've got to do now, but we'll get there eventually. Really plan on getting stuck into it this summer. Last year was all about the land and fencing it off and everything. I've still got the fence to fix down the bottom, but predominantly this summer is going to be all about getting in the cottage and getting as much of it done as possible. Obviously as funds allow. I've got a beekeeping course coming up, so that's going to be interesting, and I'm going to do a question and answers video. So if you've got any questions you want answering, drop them in the comments or email me. I've put an email address in the channel description, so check that out if you want to email me. If you want to email me questions, abuse, or send me some free stuff. All these YouTubers seem to be getting loads of free stuff. The email's there for you to use. Thank you for watching. I'm going to chase those goats off the windowsill. They have been harassing me for ages. And then I'm going to go and fix my polytunnel because the parts that were damaged in the storm have arrived. So I'm going to go and get on with that now. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and all that good jazz. I'll see you again next time.